Hello, 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 Sofa Squad. How is everybody? Now, y'all, before we get started, we're talking major sound check. I'm just going to talk normal like this because we got the new fancy microphone here turned all the way up. But let us know if you can hear us. Drop a 1 in the comment section. Mute that. Wait, oh, yeah. So, yeah, do y'all hear anything? Brandon, thank you, Brandon. So just 111. Yay, yay, yay. Hello, everybody. Okay, here we are. Now, also keep in mind, y'all, I'm coming from the hotel room, so we're on hotel Wi-Fi. So just bear with us here, okay? Hey, Duchess, how's it going? So, y'all, here we are. So we are going to be talking about two things tonight in this live chat. CrimeCon, I mean, you know how it is here, like whatever we end up talking about, obviously. But CrimeCon that we just left, we haven't even gotten home yet. And then, hey, Kelly Bell, Summer Shiftlet's interview with Nate Eaton. Oh, Emily, I love you. Y'all give Emily a round of applause.
We love Emily.
We have hung out with Emily this weekend. Y'all, everybody loves. She is so amazing. She's just such a wonderful, warm, kind human being. Emily, and she's still holding CrimeCon down, y'all. Or
She's
turning
still
it
there.
up. I don't know which one. Oh, thanks, Holly. How are you doing? But yeah, so this is what we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna do that. So let's talk about CrimeCon 2024. So first of all, the meet and greet. Now I'm gonna make an actual. Well, I'm gonna do two videos. One video is gonna be like just a kind of general thing or to put out there, and then another will be like the membership side or whatever to talk about the different meet and greets we had, all that type of stuff. So the more professional one or whatever, I'll put the pictures I took with everybody that I met. Oh, thank you, Legal Cat, and all that kind of stuff. We met lots. I mean, we met a lot of Sofa Squatters.
Oh, absolutely.
So we had the meet and greet Saturday night. We learned. I'll tell you how I think we're going to tweak it for next year. But it was so much fun. We met a bunch of people. We all hung out. I had a great time. And then we met lots of Sofa Squatters around, you know what I mean? Like walking around, that kind of thing or whatever. Content creators, I talked to Gigi from Pretty Lies and Alibis. If you saw, she's super sweet. I mean, you already know, like you know this from watching her. She's super sweet. I'm gonna try and talk to her like once things get settled about doing some stuff together, because I think it'll be a lot of fun to work with her. And she's really not that far from me. And like the YouTube world, she's only a few hours away from me, which is awesome. I met Ashley Banfield. She was super cool. Now, I've met other creators in the past that I didn't necessarily meet this time, such as Stephanie Harlow and Derek, and they're all super cool. But I just didn't meet up with them this time or whatever. Also, and I can't remember her name, but she has the book club podcast. Do you know her first? I don't have it in front of me, but
I can grab it.
It's called, is it the Murder Shelf Book Club?
Murder Shelf Book Club.
Murder Shelf Book Club. She has a book club. It's a book club. It's a podcast. She actually won an award.
I think she did win an award this year. Yes.
So it's a podcast format. So just Google it to check it out. And then other Sofa Squatters we met. Well, I don't know if she's cool with me saying her name yet, but we hung out with her the whole weekend. Who told us about the cold case thing?
Right.
She might come on here and talk to us about it. It was very interesting. So literally, the stories that we had were in meeting people, all that was so much fun, y'all.
The contacts.
So yeah, the contacts. So much fun hanging out with Emily. We got to have coffee and chat with Emily. Audra this morning, we hung out with Audra. So it was a lot of fun. It really rejuvenated me. Okay.
And a shout out to Sherry and Dana.
Yes, hello Sherry and Dana.
True CrimeCon fanatics.
Have been there from day one for CrimeCon.
Been to every CrimeCon.
Now look, someone just asked about, and let me get back up to it. Oh, hey Chrissy, how are you? Okay, where did so Melaine Nix, I hope I'm saying your name right. Didn't John Ramsey talk? I'm so curious what he said. Okay, so he was there, and this is the weird thing. Everywhere I went, I saw that man in a line somewhere. I was like, I keep running into him. I never talked to him. It wasn't a situation like that. And I did not go hear him, but I did specifically ask, did it get turned up at his thing? Because in the past it has. And they said no drama during the question and answer session, but we can't say the same for Summer Shiftlets.
Right.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But I saw him, and I'm guessing it's his new wife, maybe, if that's his wife. I don't know. So, but yeah. So there's that. Did you have any? And can you hear me that?
Oh, sorry.
Quick, I'm sorry. That's sweet tea. Did you have any people that you like? What do you want to say?
Everyone was a blast, and it's so great to see everyone. Very excited to see Paul and to meet the people that hadn't met him before. It was just a pleasure all the way around.
It really was. Wait, hold on. His new wife. Okay, yeah. So she was there with him. We met Gabby Petito's father this morning. Obviously, he's super nice.
Great, yes.
Really, really
very
nice
friendly.
Man. I mean, there's just right now I'm kind of brain dead because we drove. Let me tell y'all what. Nashville to even Asheville.
It's a stretch.
Yeah,
because all afternoon.
All afternoon.
Right.
Now, mind you, we've stopped at every Buc-ee's that we see. We have to stop. And then even after that, it's like 5 miles later, I'm like, I got to stop at the rest area again. Oh, thank you, CM. I appreciate it. You're amazing, too. I mean, honestly, the highlight is literally hanging out with the Sofa Squad. And so this is what I say about that before we go on to the next thing. Okay. This is what we're thinking. So next year, CrimeCon 2025 is in Denver, Colorado.
September 2nd?
Or I think it's 7th through.
Oh,
it's like we'll look it up in a minute. But I think it's like the 7th through the something.
I thought it was 2 through 5.
Well, hold on. Now you might be right.
I don't know. I've been wrong before.
Figure it out. No, we'll figure it out in a second. Because I got the email. You know, I got the email right here. But you don't know.
And this year, I would say is much big, or the amount of people that was there was a lot more than last year. And I asked somebody, and I don't know if this is an official number, but they said that the attendees, not counting the creators and everyone else, but the attendees they said was around 5,000. So I'm not sure if that number is correct, but there were a lot more people. It's growing, definitely growing.
Oh, Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer and Jason. I had a blast meeting y'all. I feel like y'all ended up waiting for so long. Here's the thing that threw me off. So at the meet and greet, when we went down there, and it was like it was the perfect place for the meet and greet. But there's people like hanging out. There's people that I didn't think that were there to do the meet and greet. They were just kind of hanging out. And then it's like you are on talking to people and you get caught up or whatever. So for people who waited a long time to talk, I apologize, but thank you for hanging out and sticking in there. And it was so much fun to meet everybody. Oh my God. That was literally the bet. Like, to me, that's the only reason to go there is to meet some members. Oh, thank you, Lauren. So here's the thing. So I looked up, and yes, it's September 5th through the 7th, okay. Denver, Colorado.
See, I was wrong.
Host Hotel is Gaylord Rockies. So September 5th through the 7th, 2025 is CrimeCon, and it's at the Gaylord Rockies. So this is what we're going to do with that. Hey, Neferiti, we are going to probably go early and stay later, but maybe go to Vegas or something since we're out that way. But I was thinking doing a meet and greet Friday night instead of Saturday before the little party thing that they do, and do like a standing, hey y'all, Friday morning, and we figure it out. At this area I'm going to be there having my coffee. Whatever Sofa Squad people want to meet up and have coffee for a little bit before everything gets started, come down and hang out. You know what I'm saying? And I think that would be a cool way to be able to like, because we kind of got to do that this morning with Audra, and you know what I'm saying? Like, but just to do that every morning.
Yes, that would be good.
Hey, we'll do like a little coffee and chat thing in the morning. It's an official meet and greet thing. So, and we'll see there. Okay, Mimi says, hey Paul, and hey. So what was the vibe like out of the chat? Y'all, literally, to me, I felt like people had like a weight off their shoulders, and I felt like people were cheering in different things. Like in what's her name? Ashley Banfield. Remember in her thing, she said the thing, and everybody jumped up and cheered and stuff. Or not jumped up, but people were excited. People were excited. I mean, I felt everybody was like ecstatic over it. They were amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, the Deb says about the views out there. I can only imagine how beautiful it is out there. I have not been to Colorado since I was like 19. which was a few years ago. So I know, the Chad Dable voice. So yes, I'll do that. So y'all know Murder Nerd. She's hangs out here. She has her own channel. She is sending me Chad Dable's autobiography. So there's going to be another pure cringe Chad Dable reading. So yeah, don't worry, it's on its way. And so yeah, Chad Daybell. Let's talk about that real quick. So yeah, it was a good vibe there. Chad Daybell, death penalty. Here's my thing, that because that was the topic of conversation all weekend, and I was surprised he got it, but only under the reasoning of you never know how the death penalty is going to go. And I was like, why? He probably won't get it. Watch. So when he got it, I was like, oh, now I'm not complaining, But I was just surprised. I was like, oh, I was prepared for him to get life without parole. That's kind of like what I default to on most death penalty things. It's just so rare. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody was pretty on board with that. I didn't talk to anybody that felt different. Yeah.
Cheered.
Yeah. I mean, it was just literally. Now let's use that to segue, because now I have so many things. Let's just go ahead and talk about Summer Shiftlet's thing. And then we can also talk about CrimeCon mixed in, all that type of stuff. Okay. Now, for those, I am going to do an official video on it, for the other channel to put up. So if you're wanting to not have the breakaways and the conversations, that'll be up in a couple of days. Okay. Now you just cut in, interrupt me, because I'll just start talking. But if you want to add something to it, just be like, okay. So let me pull my notes up, because I wrote a letter. Hold on, I wrote a letter about this.
Yeah, Paul continually took notes throughout Summer's interview.
Nefertiti says, Chad is pissed. He is too, girl. Yeah.
Well,
100%.
didn't they say that he kind of acted really
That's what I heard.
odd whenever the judge asked him to stand up for the sentencing part?
Yeah, because the lady I talked, or maybe it was you and we talked to somebody, I guess we were both right. They were saying, I have not watched the sentencing part yet, but they made the talk about how he kind of stood up halfway. Maybe Emily, you told me. Basically, he acted defiant about standing up. Emily, I think it was you that was telling me. So, yeah, it's just, he probably was angry. I'm sure. I can't wait to go back and watch it. Okay, so Summer Shiftlet. Okay, so I want to say this about it first. So I want y'all to know my context for going to see Summer. Summer was the headliner to me. That was everyone get out of my way. I am going to see Summer Shiftlet. I'm breaking the wall down to get to it. Okay. That was my end all be all kind of a thing. Okay.
And there was a long line to get in there. Paul went very early, got to the very front of the line almost. I mean, there wasn't many people in front, and I was late arriving. So I walked past a ton of people to catch up with Paul.
This is it was. It was like everybody wanted to be at this thing. Okay, so Derek, Emily, Paul, a sofa squatter, but I don't know if she wants to use her real name, so I don't want to say, but you know who you are if you're in the chat room, whatever. Right. She came with us, and then I met some sofa squatters in the line, some of that, but we all four went. And so it was nice going with a group of people. Okay, so anyways. So my context is Summer was my biggest thing that I wanted to see there. I wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth. And y'all know, basically, this is the whole vibe with Summer. This all pops off. All we see as the public is Summer coming out talking about, what are y'all worried about? She loves her kids, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. And we're all kind of like, Then fast forward, we basically get to the point of, and I'm skipping over some little bookmarks here, but we're just using these two big defining moments. We hear, hey Jenny, how's it going? We hear Summer in that phone call, the one where she's going off on Lori, she realizes oh my God, Lord, my sister has done what, So we hear that, right? So there's a whole bunch in between there or whatever. And obviously I don't know Summer. I'm not there. I'm not part of her family, whatever. So I don't know that. So it's just literally my opinions on it. But I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth type thing. What's this girl got to say? Yeah, okay. I thought he was going to say something.
No. It's like, wait.
So I wanted to hear from the horse's damn mouth. Okay. So that was my whole thing there. I'll get into some of my phone or I read your comment, ACS, hard to say. I'll get into some of my like opinions on like, where does it fall on the Richter scale with me after we talk about it. So it starts off, she comes out there. Now, she immediately, so it's Nate Eaton of East Idaho News. Make sure you follow him for anything. A lot of people over the weekend were telling me they were going to really miss Nate. Yes, we have gotten to know him through this case, obviously. But he covers so many cases and so many things. Nate is like a real amazing stand-up guy, awesome human being in person. And somebody told me, Chrissy, I think you emailed me, and somebody else said that he mentioned the channel like on an interview or something like that. Like he recognized somebody's button about it. So I was like, oh, Nate might know who we are here at the Sofa Squad. I don't know. But I've met him and he's super nice. So Summer comes out and I'm going to start kind of reading from my notes here. So she's excited and thankful to hear about Chad's death sentence. That's the first thing they go over. And she was in support of it and absolutely happy and was like 100% down. That's what I needed to hear. But then she gives accolades to Nate Eaton. And she's like, before we get started, I want to say this. And she said, Nate was the only person that went out of his way to get to know Tylee, JJ, especially them, but all the victims, but especially Tylee and JJ as human beings, and to know like what they were like, what their lives were like, that kind of a thing. He was the only reporter, she said, that like really went out of his way to get those textures and things like that. That kind of stuff for him. So she really went out of her way to say that. Okay, so let's get into some of the questions. So Nate asked her, what kind of a sister, what kind of a wife, what kind of a person, what kind of a daughter, all that was Lori before all this, right? So she says, she talks about her whole family. She says, she mentions all of them, goes through them and whatnot, kind of lays out that, there's this many of us. And, we had this little, sister who didn't make it. And this one, and that, the history of their family. Her and Lori are 2 years apart. They grew up in Southern Cal. They had tons of friends. They went to church. They led a very busy life. She said that when they were growing up, basically their religious, vibe was some people thought they weren't religious enough. Some people thought they were too religious. And she said that still holds true. They were not into all this stuff that we hear of, you know what I'm saying? Like the recent stuff with Lori and whatnot. That was not what they were. That was not the vibe. So then she says, where is it? Okay. Nate says, when did you notice the change in Lori? Like, so when does Lori switch from being this, air quotes, normal person, to what we're seeing or whatever? Okay. And then Summer says, basically the hindsight is always, 2020 kind of thing. Right. But she's like, looking back at it as a whole, she's like around 2016 at the tail end of her living in Hawaii. That's when she said, pardon me. Oh, thank you, Sally. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And it's your first super chat. I appreciate that. She says that Lori was listening to Julie Rowe during this time. She said she had not started getting into the Chad Daybell stuff yet. And she basically said that Julie Rowe was like the gateway drug into the Chad Daybell situation for Lori. So that was who she started listening to first and getting really influenced in this stuff first. Now, if you're kind of new to this case and whatnot or whatever, and don't know who Julie Rowe is, just Google her. Get your damn seatbelts on, though. We're talking pure damn cringe. She just has these very out there belief systems. She writes books. She's in on that. I personally think Chad stole a lot of his stuff from her, like he does everybody. Chad has an issue with stealing a lot of his beliefs from he pretty much just surrounds himself with women, but stealing it from the women around him. And I think that he grifted Julie Rowe's stories. I think he grifted other people's stuff too. But so Julie Rowe is like a player in that way. So she really highlights that Julie Rowe was like her gateway into the whole thing or whatever. Okay, so Summer says that her family has always kind of had this interest in like near death books, things of this nature. But when Lori started listening to Julie, that's when this kind of thing of like an interest or or that, just like almost like if one of us read something like that, like the way we would, you know what I mean? We wouldn't be like, this is legit, But once she started listening to Julie, is when Lori started being like, this is like this is verbatim real, like this is legit stuff right here. So that was kind of eye opening for me because it's almost like, again, if you've watched, listen to Julie's stuff, y'all, she's out there. Okay, she's out there. Do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay, I just make sure. I'll just keep talking just to make sure.
That's good.
Okay. Then Summer. Okay, yes. Summer says Lori moves back to Arizona. She starts, and now there is some fast forwarding timestamps here. You know what I'm saying? So Lori moves back to Arizona, and then she starts to have her own religious experiences. And Summer says at this point they were different, but they were not alarming. Now she describes Lori. She's like, during this time and before the major Chad Daybell stuff, all this type of stuff. She's like, Lori was like she did normal mom stuff. She was a good mom. She loved being a mom. Her own kids adored her. She was a hard worker. She was incredibly charming. She made a very big point to talk about how charming Lori was, like a very charming, she did the hair thing. She did this. She could really get in there with people and talk to them. And,
she almost played it off as if her sister was a good soccer mom, as you would call it. And so, it seemed like she indicated that it seemed like in a short amount of time, she kind of flipped into her crazy beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know me. I know Rain. And they played part of that phone call. Oh my God. We'll get that.
It was,
you know me, Summer.
Right.
Oh, you just want to come to the damn phone. Oh my God. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So there's that. So Nate talks about when Charles was shot by Alex. So Nate takes the conversation into like these moments. Again, if you're kind of just following this, Alex, he's now deceased. Alex was, or is, but not presently in this life anymore. Lori and Summer's brother. So Alex most likely is the one who killed most of these people and children and whatnot, along with Chad probably helping him out with some of those things. So we'll get more into it, but just to kind of give everybody the pieces of the puzzle there, that's who Alex is. Okay. Alex was also married to Zelima. Her name will come up in a minute. Okay. So he talks about when Charles was shot by Alex. So now I got to kind of read this and work to my handwriting here. So he talks about Lori. Okay. So Summer talks about that whole little interim. She talks about Lori calling before that and basically saying, look, if Charles calls y'all, don't answer the phone. Summer says that what would happen, it would be a kind of normal thing, is that her and Charles would go at it, have an argument, whatever. And Lori would call talking about, if Charles calls you, don't answer the phone. We got an argument. Just let it be for a couple of days. And that was fairly normal. And so she thought, okay, well, this is whatever, right? But Charles is like blowing up her phone. And to the point that she reaches out to Alex and she's like, what's going on? And Alex is like, I don't know what's up. I wish they would leave us out of their stuff, the whole 9 yards. So that's what she's saying on that end of things. We will address some of that in a minute when we get to some of the question and answers that came up in the thing. So just file that away, because somebody does mention her text messages and stuff. So, okay, then, but this is when he starts saying that. Okay, so then this is the thing. So he's trying to get a hold of him. Well, then this is the time where Charles is starting to be like, hello, Lori is like off her damn rocker. Okay. She's talking about, I'm God, I'm talking crazy, all this type of stuff. And that it's crazy or whatever. Well, then Summer, so there's that story going on. And then what's her name? Lori saying, I found out Charles has been cheating on me. He's been doing this, he's been doing that. So Summer's basically like, it turns into a he said, she said scenario for a lot of the family where it's like, Charles is saying she's crazy, talking about God, talking about these crazy beliefs. Lori's talking about he cheated on me, this, that, and the other. They get into these little spats. It lasts a couple of days. That was the vibe that Summer was serving about this. Please hold. She never heard any talk. She says she never heard any kind of talks about Charles being killed or any of that stuff. She says that she does not speak ill of Charles. She considers him a victim at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, we'll get a little bit more into that here in a little bit, but she made that very clear. He is a victim. He was an innocent bystander. He did not deserve to have done what was done to him. Plays hold. She says, okay, so then she also says that she hears about the whole thing about Charles coming into town. So we're fast forwarding a little bit. What we were just talking about was like kind of leading up to it. Now we're fast forwarding into this, like right before that. So she gets these talks about Charles coming into town the same day that Adam is also a sibling of Lori and Summer and Alex's. I know it gets confusing. So he's coming into town. So it's this whole thing of like, well, why is this going on? And why is this going on? And why are these people doing this? And it's very odd to her. Well, then basically the next thing is she finds out that Charles has been killed. And it's like, what? So one thing that is stressed during this, and then also looking back over it, is the fact of it's like, again, the hindsight's 2020, where we're kind of looking at the whole picture. And so she's almost describing it like each little thing wasn't this red flag in the beginning, because it was almost like, well, there's this. There would be odd things. And like one thing that I'm kind of going to sideline off of this here, then tell me if you remember this, but when she was talking about like Lori's beliefs and stuff, she was like, in the very beginning, before she like went off the deep end, Summer was like, Lori was talking about these beliefs and we were trying to be supportive and like be there for it. Even though it was like, well, this is different, but well, let's let the girl go off for a minute and see. And again, this is before she's saying it gets into like JJ's a zombie, or you know what I mean? Like this out there Julie Rose stuff. She was talking about having her own stuff.
I would say she kind of conveyed, in the way I took it, meeting her sister, Summer was saying that she kind of downplayed the oddities. That's a good word to use for it.
Yeah.
She kind of downplayed the oddities, being a sister in the situation, as anybody would. Almost if your family member came to you and was like saying some weird stuff, you're like, yeah, okay, and blow you off. And that's kind of how she seemed to put it, that it wasn't red flags to her. And two, I will take it one step further. With everything that happened, she did say it was, when things went south, it was a complete night and day for her. She said it did happen overnight, once she got the final information, but she said it was black and white from one day to the next of how she had to deal with being the sister of someone who did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I saw a couple of comments up here about, we're going to get to the question. So the question and answer session, some of the things that you're talking about like, well, what about this text message and that? Oh, that was brought up. Don't worry. He got brought up. So yeah, and we'll get to like the different, like we'll talk about my opinion of like just being there in the room with Summer and the vibe and all that kind of stuff, because I've had time to sit on it now and I've gone back and forth with it. But my opinion definitely was changed in many ways, but I still have questions as well, but we'll get to those in a second because y'all are bringing up some of the same stuff. But anyways, okay. Basically, she says, so then when he's like, Nate Eaton is basically saying like, well, what were you told? What were you told? She basically is like, I'm getting the same story that y'all are getting, like from Alex and from Tylee. This whole little thing of, it was basically, Charles comes in, there's an argument over the phone. It sounds like JJ was out in the car. The phone was left inside. Lori takes the phone. This is going on. That's going on. Tylee comes out with a bat to protect the mom. There's a struggle. There's an argument. Tylee is sent out to watch JJ. Gunshots are fired. So there's that. Now let me see how I kind of wrote out my notes.
She did also say that she wholeheartedly believes that Tylee did not witness the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, she says, took the phone, Tylee came out. She says, okay, about Tylee's story, because this is like a huge thing for a lot of people. Do we think that's really what happened, or was Tylee put up to lie about the baseball bat thing? And this is what Summer said about it. She said Tylee's story never changed. She says that 100% Tylee was a young lady with integrity. She was not a liar. And she says that to honor Tylee and her memory, basically, she's like, that's the story she told. I believe it. I do not think Tylee lied for anybody. I think that that is exactly what happened, that she came out with the bat and then it went down like that, because that was, she never changed her story. And so Summer, that's literally how she said it, to honoring Tylee. That's what I'm going with, because that's what she said. And I'm not considering her a liar or any of that type of stuff. So I found that to be very interesting, hearing her say that or whatever. So let me just read here what it says, Lori. Okay, so then we're going to get into just some bullet points here. So she says that in reference to what Lori was saying about Charles and the affair and all this with Chad and whatnot, she says that Lori said that Charles was lying about her having an affair with Chad, and that she, meaning Lori, was saying that she herself was friends with Tammy, and she really liked Tammy, and that, like, you know, this is just a lie by Charles, and that she is not sleeping with Chad. So again, you could hear the eye rolls in the damn room over this. Like, there was like everybody had their damn can't roll my eyes hard enough cup out for a lot of this, right? So okay, so Brown Eye. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me just Wait, let me come over here and post it, because this is a major one. I would just want to do this for reference. So first of all, hello, Brown Eye Girl. So Brown Eye Girl says, and several of you, I'm just using Brown Eye Girl's example here. She says, I'm late, but dying to know if Summer spoke about the phone calls, texts, and antics against Charles before he was killed. Okay, we're leaving that up for a reminder, because we're going to come to that. Because yes, people brought that up. Summer did not address that directly, though, like that. Like, and what you're talking about, I know the text message you're talking about, because I too was kind of like wondering, like, you know, is she going to say anything about that? But she didn't. But again, for me, Summer at this point is one of those situations of people are several things at one time. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's what this comes down to. But let's keep going. Okay. Again, let me find my next note. It says, Lori, okay. Okay, so then she says, after the shooting, Lori's landlord wanted her out. And Lori tells her, the family, whatever, that basically, like, they're moving in with Alex. And Summer's like, okay, cool, or whatever. Hold on. They're moving out. She said that Tylee didn't seem aware that they were moving to Idaho, because basically the way Summer was saying it, correct me if I'm wrong here, anybody, pardon me, is Summer's like, okay, this is all going down. The landlord wants Lori gone. You can only imagine, right? The landlord's like, girl, you got to go. You know, we can't be having all this. And so she's like, we're going to move in with Alex, blah, 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 blah. And then it's almost like out of the blue, doesn't tell anybody. They just leave town. So it's almost like they were throwing like a decoy out there, if you will. And she said that Tylee didn't act like or talk like, because I mean, you would know, like, if somebody's moving somewhere, you're typically going to be, you would kind of know. Right. So it was her impression that it was almost like this is a surprise to everybody except for like Lori and Chad and Alex, probably. So September 8th, Lori calls and says they've moved out of state. So again, they go from, oh, we're going to move with Alex, to all of a sudden they get a phone call and, hey, we moved out of the state. Won't really say where they are. And then she talks about the story, the part that we're all very familiar with, which is she's kind of blaming Kay Woodcock. Again, if you're not following this or haven't followed it, Kay Woodcock is the biological grandmother to JJ. There's a custody issue there, kind of, sort of, or whatever. But Lori and Charles had adopted JJ. Kay is a grandmother. She's really the reason why this case got, when she pressed it, like, where's the children, that kind of thing. So Kay ended up getting all the money because Charles knew that Lori was crazy. Lori was bitter over this. So Lori's basically taking this narrative of Kay's after the kids, Kay's after, especially JJ. So we have to hide him. We have to hide him when she was trying to save that child is what she was trying. Well, both of them, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so she says that blames Kay, blames Charles by saying, you know what, he owed like a lot of mean people money, and they're kind of after us, so we're trying to hide. You know what I'm saying? And we're in hiding. I can't really say anything. The significance of this is the last day that Tylee is seen alive. Now, Summer gets visibly upset during the speech several times. And I took photos and stuff like that, which I'll put in the edited video, but this is just like, I'm dying to come here and talk to y'all version of this. But I took pictures and stuff like that during this. But so Summer gets visibly upset. I feel like it was authentic for the most part at the times that I saw her getting upset. I mean, I didn't feel like it was crocodile tears.
Oh no, not
you
at
know
all.
what I'm saying?
And as a spectator watching her on stage, there were times where it was very moving, and with the crowd, the people in attendance, there were a few wet eyes. I mean,
oh yeah,
and close by, because some people commented on it. They were like, "Did you see so and so? He was boohooing, or she was boohooing."
Yeah,
it's touching, and these cases are that way.
100%.
Yeah.
They text and call. Oh, so wait, they text and call her. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I can't read my own writing. Okay, so then she basically says that, you know, her and Lori are texting and calling here and there type thing. That, you know, their phone, their what do you say? Their contact doesn't change, but it changes. If that makes sense. It was like a little bit different, but not.
Well, I took it that she was saying that it was very limited and very strained. Like,
yeah,
she had a hard time even getting responses from Lori.
Okay.
That's the way I took it.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, she said it was very strained. Like once they went to Idaho, she by chance found out that they were there only because
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
JJ made
a comment, something about being in Idaho, and that kind of let the cat out of the bag. That's the way I interpreted it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what he's talking about is, okay, so there's a phone call where basically it was like, she was talking to JJ or something like that. And basically she was like, well, do you like your new home? And he was like, I forget what, my Arizona home or my Idaho
Yes,
home?
That's the way.
That's how they knew where they went, because she wasn't telling anybody.
She didn't tell.
Yeah.
Lori did not tell Summer where they were.
And it makes you wonder when she was talking about that, if that was one of the things where they're like, oh, see, he's going to put us out there. He's going to let people know we can't have him doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like all these little decisions along the way makes you wonder, like, was this the moment that they decided he has to go to? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just haunting. Okay. Okay, so then this part was heartbreaking. Oh my God. Okay, so she tells a story about her and Tylee and how they would text. And she says that, hold on one second. Chrissy, first of all, thank you, Chrissy. I have to go as I'm headed for another pedicure, but when I send you another message. Oh, thank you, Chrissy. And yeah, absolutely. Shoot me an email if you that'll be the best place. I'm gonna get to my email probably on Wednesday. But yeah, shoot me one there. And I hope you're doing well. And maybe we'll see you in Denver next year. Wait on that. So let me get back
to the story about the picture.
So yes, so she is going to text Tylee on her B-Day. Now, at this point, hindsight, of course, we know Tylee was no longer here. You know, whatever had happened, it happened, whatever. So she says she texts Tylee on her B-Day and she gets a response, but it was, at that time, she said it was odd in the moment, but obviously she now knows it wasn't Tylee responding. She gets very upset over this part. and understandably so. I mean, it gives me goosebumps right now. So she talks about the story where she was like, I had taken a picture of Tylee at one point, and Tylee hated the picture. And so, like, it's like a
inside joke.
She would like send that picture to Tylee to be like, here, you know what I mean? And like Tylee would give her a hard time, kind of being the funny aunt type thing or whatever. So basically, when she gets this weird response from Tylee, and it's like, whatever, she sends this photo. And Tylee doesn't say any, there's no response. It gives me goosebumps. And that's when she was like, something's like, what, like, this
Way
is
off.
not right. Yeah. Like, Tylee would have snapped back at her, clapped back, or, you know what I mean? Like, whatever their little inside joke was about this picture, there should have been a follow-up from Tylee, and there was not one. And this is one of the moments where she's like, like, what's up? Because remember, at this point, the conversation is strained. People are starting to probably ask questions. There's slowly things are coming together. Okay. Both Lori and Alex ghost her starting from October. So they're like, okay, what's up? Like any kind of communication, like they're ghosting until I think things popped off and whatever, like until they figured out what happened. Okay, so then they ghost until police will inform her, she says, about Alex's death. She said she had no idea that he was dead. She had no idea that he was married. She says that she had met Zulema in passing, like say like going to Lori's house at that event or something, and like Zulema's walking out and she's walking in, that type of thing. But zero clue about, it was like, he's married. He died for what? Now, let's hold on. I want to see if I made a note about this right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say this, but I probably made a note about it later. But I'm afraid if I didn't, I'll forget it. Oh, thank you, Emily. Gifted 5 memberships. Okay, so one of the questions asked later from Nate is, he's like, do you think Alex died of natural causes, so they killed him? Y'all, I wanted to kiss Nate for asking that damn question, because y'all know me. I'm like, you cannot tell me otherwise. That man was murdered. Okay, period. End of damn story. Summer's response is this, and if I have more notes about it, I'll say we'll go over it again. But layman's terms type thing is, she's like, look, I think he died of natural causes. She's like, number one, this heart stuff, whatever he died of, is very prevalent in our family. He was a trucker. He had these blood issues, whatever. Basically, it all tracked for what they were saying. She believes them. But then also, she was very big on saying, she's like, basically, and this is about her sister and whatnot, she's like, y'all, these people aren't brain surgeons. They're not as smart. She didn't say it like this, but basically what she said is, these people are not as smart as y'all are giving them credit for. They don't know. They're not swift enough to go look up Malachi this or whatever that stuff was, and poison this and poison that. She's like, y'all, they're not, you're giving them way too much credit, kind of a thing.
She said these are dumb criminals.
Literally. She was like,
she didn't use those words, I don't believe, but she basically said that.
Yeah. I mean, she kind of called she called them out. She was like, and I mean, so I was like, very interesting. Very interesting. Because another thing, she was like, I feel like if they were that swift to do that, she's like, I felt like they would have killed all the other people like that too. Number one, like Tylee, JJ, Charles, like everybody would have been more whatever. And again, she was like, it kind of tracks like with his health, and for the Alex that she knew, she's like, it tracked. Okay, we might have more notes about that later, but she also made a point to point out, she says, remember that the kids were never missing to Lori. Like, so the whole thing about where the kids were, she's like, remember, Lori knew where the children were the whole time. And do you remember her talking about that?
I do. And I found that to be ironic. And I don't know exactly why I say that, but it was because she was saying that when Summer says that Lori knew where the kids were all the time, the irony is, did she know that they were already dead?
I think so.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, I think that's yes.
I mean, maybe it's just a me thing, the way I interpreted it. It just seemed really weird. But she did say it that way. That she said Lori knew where the kids were all the time.
So like, yeah, and so like one thing that when she was saying that made me think, if you remember the footage, pardon me, of when Nate flew down to Hawaii when Lori and what's his name were still free, and was like, "Where are your kids? Where are your kids?" This is before they did the thing of like forcing Lori to produce the children in 5 days or whatever. Just looking back on all these things, like Lori knew right then and there where those kids were. Like they were in Chad's backyard. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Go ahead.
Are you up to the point about the actual diagnosis? Because that plays in with what? Maybe I jumped the gun.
No, not yet. No, I'm almost there. Nate asked. Okay, so then Nate asked her. Basically, he's like, where did you think the kids were? And she's like, I really didn't know. And she kind of goes into detail with this, where she's like, it just wasn't a possibility at the time to even consider that Lori or Alex would have ever hurt the kids. You know, she was like, that just wasn't even something that crossed your mind at that point. You know, and now around this time and maybe before then, she makes this comment. And I don't know if it was the beginning, but remember, Lori, somebody said, she basically made this comment. She was like, well, I can definitely tell you, don't go on TV and give an interview. I learned that lesson. Like, she's bringing light to that interview that she did that we all were like, oh my God, with her and her mother. You know, she's, you know, talking about that or whatever. And so I thought that part was interesting. But, you know, she's like, we just didn't have any idea, but it wasn't an option to us that she had done something like this to the kids at all, especially how we, you know, knew Lori to be and whatnot. So,
which
no, I did. Go ahead.
Which that in itself painted she all in all painted Lori as a good normal person up until it came out.
And here's the other thing too about that, and this is one reason why that like tracks for me is because Kay Woodcock, other people not related to Lori in this way, will say the same thing. Like, she was a decent mother at one point. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's just like, well, Lori's mom patted her on the back and said she was a good mom. Like, it checks out with other people and whatnot too. So, pardon me. Now here's the part where I kind of spoke a little too early, but Nate says, well, you went on TV to defend your sister, Lori. And Summer starts laughing. She says, oh, yeah, and I do not recommend doing that. And it was kind of like this moment where everybody like got it and she got it and made light of it, where it was like, a lesson learned here. And I did get an authentic vibe off of her for that, of being like, yeah, because I mean, remember, she went on she did this and she had kind of a smug attitude of like, I know my sister. And here's the thing. It's here. I have so many thoughts going on. It's so out of the realm, if you sit here and think about your family and people like this or whatever, to be like, oh, it would be a possibility that they butchered the kids and did all this crazy stuff, right? It's not something that crossed your mind. So the fact that she's like probably went with this narrative of she's hiding the kids, she's doing this, she's doing that, or whatever. You know, I'm like, okay, I get what she's saying to a certain degree. And like hindsight's 2020 for her, where she's like, yeah, everyone told me not to go on TV and do that. And I did it. And everybody else was right. And I should not have done that, you know? And so she was like able to kind of look back on it and like poke fun at herself and being like, yeah, that was completely stupid of me. I should not have done that. Hey, Bethany, what's up? So, here we go. Oh, she said that Chad called her before she talked to Lori. I believe she heard from Chad.
I think so too.
And she said that one of the first things out of his mouth is, I can't tell you anything about the kids, and that he asked her to bail Lori out. I wanted to crawl under the table. Chad is the king of cringe. Well, remember, he went to the damn neighbors and asked them to put the house up for Lori. I'm like, the girl you brought over, the young lady, the woman you brought over, days after your wife dies, and you're like necking on the sofa in your neighbor's house, and now you want them to do that, and then you're calling Summer talking about you bail your sister out, and Summer's like, I didn't have that kind of, I mean, you know, the bail, like, I didn't have that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, who does, right? I mean, it's crazy. So there's that. So let's keep going. But she also says that he reassures her. So I'm sorry, reassures her that the kids are safe. So remember, we know what happened to the kids at this point, right? The whole time, kids are safe. Can't talk about them. They're okay. Blah, 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 blah. There's that. Okay. Summer says that it still takes. Oh, Summer says that it still takes a long time to even wrap her mind around this. She went on about this several times about just the whole complexities of the ability to look back now on it as a whole, as opposed to living through it day by day, and the way the pieces slowly came together for her, and whatnot. And like looking back now, like, yeah, it took me a very long time. And even in the face of like all this stuff, I did not want to believe that my sister did this. So there's that. Well, let's see. Sam says, can you bail my goddess out of the Teleshfield jail? And you know that's exactly how that phone call went. You know, isn't it? My goddess is stuck in the portal. It said not to pass go, to go straight to the portal. We need money to get her out. You want me to get her out? Ugh, God, he's so creepy. He's right where he belongs. Okay, so then let's fast forward. June 9th, 2020, children are found. Thank you, Anita. Okay. Where am I at? Okay, yeah. So she says that with this, on the day the children are found, this whole thing, she basically finds this out like the rest of us watching it on TV in real time, that type thing. And like that for along with the rest of us. She says that this is the day that her mind went from, oh my God, Lori would never do anything like this, to an immediate, you now have to accept this. Like, this is a change of, that's no longer your reality. Children are found in, the enormity of that. And then it takes her a while. I mean, it was an immediate, like, bam, we have to now learn to accept this about our sister and all that. But also, I mean, you can imagine, like, you're going to rake back over everything and be like, well, wait a minute, when she said this, or wait a minute, on this day, or when I texted Ty Lee, or, on her birthday, and the whole thing, right? And so that was the official, like, boom, here we go. But it's still a process. Let's see here. Okay. And then she says that after June 9th, Lori stops making requests to talk to Summer. And thank you, Lynette. And we did have a blast. And I hope you come next year to Denver. It would be nice to meet you too. We'll talk more too about, for people to just join, about the Sofa Squad meetup, because it was amazing. Okay. It was so much fun. So, pardon me, do you want to say something? No. So the way Summer described that situation with Lori is that Lori would have to make requests, like put your name on a list type thing of like, hey, I want Summer to call me. And then Summer would get it and call her type thing, right? So Lori, stops making these requests once the children are found, right? Which to me is so telling, right? Because Lori, and we'll talk about her diagnosis and all this type of stuff, but even with that, it's like there's a right and a wrong. And so these things, like, if you were completely delusional, why would you quit calling your family on the day that the kids were found? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, sure.
And stop talking. If you were just out in La La Land, you know what I mean? Like,
well, and on that line, I took it from Summer herself when she was up there speaking. She had to process it before she could even talk to Lori.
Yeah, 100%.
And as anybody would.
Yeah.
She was like, and then she said it. Then she got to the point when, as she was processing it, she said, then I had to talk to her because I had to get closures for herself as a family member.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, it was like just what Eric just said.
It was bizarre to think someone has to go through that on that side.
One of the things that resonated with me in listening to Summer talk was it really put you in the place of like imagining yourself going through the transitions of like, my sister wouldn't do
Right.
this. She's an amazing person. Like maybe she's doing some weird religious stuff right now, but it's nothing whatever. But her kids, like, no, she wanna all the way to, well, why is Kate following you? Like, and again, it kind of went boom, 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 roll, not real quick, but quick. You know what I'm saying? Okay, hold on. We're gonna have to come back to that. Oh my god, about John Ramsey, that's crazy. Oh my god, I can't. I saw John Ramsey the whole weekend. Shocked that he shows up the whole time. I mean, for this very reason. Okay, so Lori stops to make a request. Then Lori reaches out a couple of times, and this is when what you were talking about. Summer's finally like what Derek just said. She's like, I need to get for my own self. And then she was like, what if Lori's wanting to tell me what happened? Like, for justice sake and for family's sake, for my sake, I need to talk to her. I don't want to, but I need to talk to her. Mm-hmm. So then they play the phone call. Okay. Now I'm not gonna play right here or anything, but y'all, I've done videos on the phone call before. So if you know this phone call, and Summer gets very upset when they play this at CrimeCon thing. Go ahead.
What do you recall? How did Nate say when he described the phone call? He said to Summer on stage, he said, you went from almost A to Z, but he didn't use those words. He said, all your emotions played out in that phone call.
Yeah.
It was really bizarre how he put it. It was almost like you went through every season of your emotions in one phone call. And I thought, oh, that's a great way to put how that went down.
Totally agree. Because remember, too, we've seen Summer and her mom up there kind of smugly, defending Lori. And then we hear this phone call months, later on. And Summer's screaming and yelling to Lori all the things that we're thinking. Like, what did you do? Where are the kids? Like, all the things you can imagine. She's so horrifyingly upset on this phone call. And you can hear, to me, the phone call is very authentic. It's like this shock of like, oh my God. Even the phone call, she's like, I defended you. I went on TV and like defended you. Like, how you don't do this. You know what I'm saying? And so they play a portion of it at CrimeCon because it's very intense. Summer gets upset during it. This is the thing where a lot of people, this is a very tearjerker thing, because in that phone call for me, it was like finally hearing somebody talk to Lori that was close to her, in the context that we would want to, of basically screaming and yelling at her. You know what I'm saying? And being like, what the hell? Like, are you crazy? And of course, it's infuriating because Lori, Summer, you know me. It was a good day. And she didn't say that, but it had that same energy. You know what I'm saying? And it's just absolutely infuriating. So there's that. Nate asked what it was like seeing her at trial. And he's like, because you were in the same room with her. And Summer said that Lori would try smiling at her, doing sisterly expressions, like maybe inside expression type stuff between them or whatever. Summer said that Lori looked frail. Summer said that they all begged her to take a plea deal. They did not want her to do this, but she insisted it has to go to trial, all that kind of stuff. Summer said that since that phone call, she has only talked to Lori twice after that, and it's on the phone. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's her mom's phone call with somewhere in the background.
She got dragged into the call.
Got dragged into the phone call.
Her mother was talking to her on the phone, and Summer gets dragged in on the call.
Exactly. She says she thinks that Lori probably doesn't want to talk to her anymore. For obvious reasons. And then we'll get more into it with Lori's diagnosis and stuff like that. Well, then here we are. So Lori is diagnosed with delusion disorder with grandiose thinking, I think it was. And it's like, that's what she's done with. So, okay, so I'll go. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and to explain that the way that it was explained there, or what Summer said was, with that diagnosis, if you want to say it again,
delusion disorder with grandiose thinking, I believe.
Summer said that in a person's world, particularly in Lori's situation. In their world, their reality is real, and what they're believing is totally in a different realm, and they totally believe everything that they're in their existence, even though it's different from our reality. That's the way she explained it on stage. It was almost like we're living in the real world and we saw all the stuff that they did wrong and all the crimes that were committed. But she says in Lori's world, it's on a different level, and it coincides with her diagnosis. So,
yeah, 100%. So, there's that. Lori does not think she's done anything wrong. She says that Lori's go-to is one day we will all see. So everything that goes on is you'll see one day, you'll see one day, you'll see one day. She's sure that somebody has told Lori that Chad threw her under the bus, but she says that Lori still supports Chad. If they were let out today, she would run off with Chad immediately. She would not believe that Chad threw her under the bus. That would not be like Chad is her everything. Chad. Never talks about the children. The time that, again, the little bit that they've talked or whatever, the children are never brought up. But Summer said that essentially it's not something she brings up at all. Well, number one, she doesn't talk to her. I think she said that she did the texting with her, maybe.
Yeah, which I thought was strange.
Or the email or something like that.
She said texting, and I thought to myself, sitting there, I was like, I didn't know prisoners had texting, but maybe it's different today. I don't know.
Well, basically, the talks to the children are avoided because basically the way to me it sounded like it's A, too upsetting, B, it pisses her off too damn bad because like Lori's not going to ever say anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's there. No, you'll see one day. Everything is you'll see one day. And she said that basically with Lori and Chad, but especially Lori, she thinks that she is so spiritually advanced and above all of us that we're like these little peasant earthlings, and that one day we'll see and we'll get it and it'll all make sense.
And it's back to her reality.
And it's just that's what she does. And you just in there, and it ain't gonna change. Okay. Mm-hmm. Nate asked about Alex. So, and basically the whole vibe between Alex and Lori, and says, well, what's her name? Summer says that Alex was never this loyal to Lori. He was always laid back. She said that he was a creature of convenience. And she described this as this. She was like, Alex would help you out if it was convenient for him. If it was not convenient for him, he would not do it. And so she was like, this whole thing that we see of him being the lapdog and all that, that only came once Chad came into the picture. She said before that, no. He was, can you go get me some milk at the store? Well, if I was already going there to get myself some cigarettes, I will. But other than that, you ain't getting no damn milk. Okay. That's just kind of how it was. So there's that. She says, so Summer made a point to say that she was equally as angry at Alex as she was for Alex. So meaning she obviously is aware of what he did and is angry at him for that, but also is angry for him seeing what was done to him by Chad, by Lori, the end game, the whole 9 yards. I get what she's saying because it's like he did these horrible things.
A question asking you, so is that kind of indicating that Chad was a master manipulator and he also manipulated Alex?
Yeah, that's how I took it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. 100%. Thank you, Com. I appreciate it. I know, right? I agree with you. The criminal dad got manslaughter. I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments. There's like so many different things going on with these cases right now. Okay, so we're leading into this. It's so funny because the things you say literally lead into the next.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good.
I feel like
it's like you're on it. You're like he's like reliving the whole thing right here. Okay, so Chad. So basically, one of the questions that Nate asked is, who was the leader in this? Again, wanted to run up there and kiss this man for asking this question. I was like, oh my God, he's asking like all the stuff we want. He's asking those hard-hitting questions that we've all wanted to ask. Okay, so he's like, who was the leader? So Summer, long story short, Chad was the leader. She says he was the master manipulator. He was the this. And she kind of goes into the stuff about talking about her study of cults and this, that, and the other. And she's like, look at how he went in and immediately separated Lori and the kids from this. Then he separates he has the kids murdered and does all this stuff and gets Lori all by herself away from everyone. She says that, look, his family and kids were never dark. They were never zombies. They were able to be kept over here. And she kind of breaks it down. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, it's very interesting that this is her, take on it. Because again, we watch Chad and it's like, I mean, come on. But she used another good example. She's like, look at his kids on the stand. She's like, they're still, talking about Emma and whatnot. She's like, they're still under his control. He is controlling everything from wherever, like, for these conversations and whatnot that he's having with them and whatnot. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay. Wait, this is what it is. So I made a little bullet point thing here, but here we go. So she says Chad was the master. He isolated Lori and the kids and Alex, murders the kids, dishes Alex. Now he has Lori and his family. He isolated his current kids because he has the kids. Think not. He has his own kids isolated. Apparently there's fallout with their family, other family members and stuff. That's when we get into how Alex died. We already talked about that. She does believe it was natural. He was a truck driver. Blood clots in the family. She said that he would go to Mexico for drugs like Z-Packs and Cialis. And everybody kind of laughed a little bit. She was like, it might be TMI with the Cialis, but like he would get that and the other stuff. And so there was that moment. Okay, what was her takeaway? So this is a question from Nate. She says how incredible, how incredible it was to be part of the kids' lives. She goes on and on about how much respect and how much she loved JJ and Tylee. She tells a story about JJ, about how he would always like get the phone and like order stuff off of Amazon. She talks about Tylee and how strong-willed she was and witty and generous and loyal, and just really goes into all these kinds of things about them, and that was really just, appreciating the time she did have. Okay, now let's get into the questions for the audience. Okay, from the audience. Now, here's my thing, y'all. The whole time when it's leading up to this, I'm thinking there ain't no way they're going to have questions from the audience for this. There's no way. Like, surely Summer was like, I'll do it, but you can't add nothing from the audience. Y'all, when Nate said we've got some questions lined up in the microphone, I said, give me the damn popcorn. I know it is about to get lit, as the kids say, up in here, up in breakout room number 2 or wherever the hell we were. Okay, so, y'all. Do you wonder about Joe's death? Basically, about, whatever that was. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. She does not think that they murdered him. She legit thinks he had heart problems. She says if they were going to kill him, it would have been years ago. She says that Tylee herself chose to cut ties with him a couple of years ago before he died. So there's that. Then, in relation to Lori's condition, okay, wait, hold on. Okay, I'm just skipping ahead to find the drama part. Okay, hold on. So, do you think she had her condition her whole life? Is that why she was so easily manipulated? Summer said that what she's learned is that this condition usually happens to women in their 40s, and it's like when the perfect storm happens. And she says perfect storm, and then Nate's like, you said storm. And she starts laughing or whatever, and everybody laughs, obviously, all of this, or over this. And she starts talking again, and then she says storm again, and she's like, oh my God, I just said storm again. So it became like this kind of laughing, break the ice type moment or whatever of accidentally saying storm or whatever. So that part was good. And then she thinks that Chad used religion to manipulate. Okay, did Summer believe any of the preaching that Lori said, and are you still LDS? So the question was a two-part question. Are you still LDS? Yes, Summer said she is. Did she believe any of the preachings that Lori said? She says, no, they don't believe any of the zombie stuff or the light and dark stuff. Lori tells her at one point about the light dark levels, and she was thrown off. She tried to be supportive and understand Lori. Now, I believe the person who asked that question brought up, and I could get to it, I could be jumping the gun on this, but one person basically was like, when they asked the question, I think it was this thing like, because your text messages have been released to the public. And it was like she was letting you know, or Summer know, we've already read your text messages about this, and what you're saying doesn't 100% match what your text messages said. And so there was a little bit of a like over that, but that wasn't too dramatic or anything. Not like it's about to get. So basically, to me, the vibe I took from it, and Emily, correct me if you're wrong or if you were there and you're in the chat or whatever. Summer was trying to make it out like I was trying to be supportive to Lori. I was going along with it, trying to be a supportive sister up to a certain degree. Of being like, okay, well, let's explore this new belief thing you have,
right,
and so on and so forth. And maybe that was her way of trying to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, to explain some of these text messages. Because, yes, there are text messages about Charles, but that whole situation that went down between the family, if you look at the text messages, as well as some of these belief stuff, that was a little bit like, they didn't 100% match up. Again, I do definitely believe that she is. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. So there's that. Okay. Did Alex's death amplify Lori and Chad's power? Yes, is the short answer to it. Yes. Did Lori... Okay. No, yeah. This one right here, y'all. This gets you damn popcorn for this one. This is the one that got turned up, okay? So the question starts... First of all, the woman gets up there. She starts off like this. And she's like, very nice. And like, Nate, your daughter, Emma, helps me do blank, for some kind of... I don't know what it was. Emily, if you remember, if you were there, drop in the comments. But she says, like, your daughter helps something do blank. Like, she's worked with Nate's daughter. Oh, cool. She's like, I'm a psychotherapist or a therapist or something like that. I was like, God help us if she says she's a damn life coach. She said she was a life coach, and then she came out with what I'm about to tell y'all. Okay, I would have gotten up my damn self, okay, and been like, look, we're getting so serious up in this session. Okay. I was like, I cannot, right? But Jody Hildebrandt vibes, y'all. Okay, just Jody Hildebrandt. Okay, so she starts going into this thing. So the question is this: did Lori's compulsive lying start at a young age? Summer's short answer to this is basically no. Summer never saw her as a liar. She didn't see her as that. Has Lori ever... Okay, so this woman is then basically like giving this like textbook definition of the diagnosis, and like part of that is this compulsive lying that would start from childhood, and basically then is telling Summer that Summer's in denial. She's like, well, you said this, that it didn't raise a red flag, and then this, that it didn't raise a red flag, and you're in denial, and that's the enabling that your family's done. And like, she literally escalates her attitude, like all the way up to where you start off like, hey, Nate, I'm so-and-so. I'm a psychotherapist. I've worked with your daughter, Summer. So, and then she just escalates it to where she like literally is like ripping Summer's head off. And so this is all I heard. I heard somebody go, oh, hell no. And then everyone starts booing this woman, okay? And like booing her, and they're like, boo. Then the woman, y'all, there's like minimum 500 people in this room.
Oh, at least.
At least. 500 to 1,000 people in this room. Okay. Then the woman goes, it's my mic. It's my time. It's my question. And I was like, give me another bag of popcorn. I just ate one. We're on the second one. Okay. And literally everyone's like, oh my God, they turned her damn mic off, grabbed the damn mic from her. And they didn't grab it, they turned it off or whatever. Okay. And so Summer, well, Nate's like this. Nate's like, come on. He's handles this very well. And he's like, no, just let her, okay, let's everyone calm down. Just let her, whatever. And Summer basically then goes into her explanation of, we didn't see Lori like this, and I didn't see this. And basically Summer ended it with, I'm entitled to my own opinion and you're entitled to your own opinion, and kind of shut it down. And everybody applauded Summer or whatever. Because whether some of the things that the lady was saying have we're kind of wondering that or whatever. The context and the tact that she did it with was like, it was Jody Hildebrand vibes. Okay. It was like Jody Hildebrand got out there and asked a question. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm like, look, I get what you're saying. Like, I get it, but the tone and coming at a speaker in that way was so over the top and just so out of the room. I tell everyone, I'm like, first of all, I would have immediately run out of the room, gone up to my room, waited till 3 a.m, called valet and been like, come get my shit, take it down the thing. I want to check out over the phone, and then gone to my car. You would not have seen me the rest of the trip, okay? At all. And yes, Lemon, how are you doing? No true psychologist would do that. No, that was the thing. It was so. It was almost like, I'm this. And she thought she was going to get there and eat, right? She was like, I can't wait. I just got my license and I'm going to get up here and diagnose. That was the vibe that I had.
Well, I have a question.
No, go for it.
Apparently something similar happened, or there was an incident last year with a person asking questions. Do you think for CrimeCon going forward, they should even open it up to questioning and answering?
That's a good question.
I don't think they should. I mean, I think they should remove it.
Yeah.
Because the speakers getting up there and taking their time and a lot of them are victims themselves or family. I don't think they should be subjected to this random audience asking maybe inappropriate questions. And that scene was very inappropriate and could have went worse or gotten out of control. And two, people did say or did note after that incident happened that did everyone notice that there were police officers there? And that's the first time I've ever seen a police officer almost on the sidelines, almost as if they anticipated that Summer might have some kickback. I don't think they should do the question and answer.
And so here's what I would do. If I was going to go speak, so if I was Summer, first of all, I would have been like, 100% I'll go there.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to do question and answer,
right?
At all. Not doing it. Don't even give them the option. And that's my condition for doing it. So I think if you basically went to the speaker, because here's the other one. I saw somebody earlier. We'll go ahead and talk about it. Jean Benet's father. You couldn't give me good money to be open up to public question and answers if I was him, right? And somebody was talking about someone, I think every year someone makes a comment to him about him killing her. You know what I mean? And it's just let's not even get into the conversation if we think he did whatever. Just the whole context of it. Here's the speaker. They've come here to say something. And somebody's going to come say whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like him, if I was him, I would be like, I'll do it, but I don't want there to be, questions. A Q&A. So I think if you left it up to the speaker. Now, here's the thing that everyone's, and apparently from what I'm seeing, they're all saying that this has gone on since day one of CrimeCon. Mm-hmm. Here's what happens in the sessions. So you're going up. So the sessions are an hour, 45 minutes speaking, 15 minutes question and answer, and that kind of trails out and they flip the room over, right? Mm-hmm. So it's it probably starts off at 9 o'clock in the morning and then 10:15 is the next session, and it goes on and on like that. They're very short. They're very quick. Okay. So, the second that it starts to get close to the end, and they even so much as mention we're getting ready to do the things, half the audience will stand up and start leaving. And so they're rustling their papers, they're talking to each other, and it's very odd because people are like the speaker's still talking, and like everyone's just kind of getting up and going. And so a lot of people like bitch and complain about this because they feel like A, it's rude to the speaker, B, it's rude to the attendees, C, people are talking, you can't hear them, this and the other, yada yada yada. And so that part mixed with the dynamic of what you're talking about, like, should we? I feel like they either give it up to the or leave it up to the speaker, be like, yeah, I'm going to do them.
Okay.
Or if they had, I mean, I totally see your point too. Or if they had a completely separate session, because imagine if Summer held and that they could do that, because there's different like levels that you can buy for the things. Like you can get a standard badge, a gold badge, or a VIP badge. The women are leaving to get the badge. No, right? Amen. They could almost be like, hey, Summer's going to do an hour-long question and answer session for the gold VIP people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because you know they're going to want to monetize it somehow, like in that way or whatever. Oh, and she, Shania, I hope I'm saying her name right. She says, yes, submit questions prior to the interviews. You could totally do that.
Right.
Totally
Filter
do that.
them out.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you like, this is from so-and-so. Are you here? Whatever. Now, I'm going to say this. The majority, I literally thought everybody was going to get up and like kind of have like some very pointed questions for Summer. So really that was the most rude one. The second girl was like the one that was like saying, because you know your text messages have been released. She was more tactful about what she was trying to say and do instead of like biting Summer's head off. It was almost like a little gentle reminder of like, girl, you know what FOIA is, right? Like, we've got the receipts, just saying, you know, kind of a thing, right? Which was more appropriate because it's like, look, these are emotional cases, we feel a certain way, but it gets the room riled up. So like when that woman got real pissy, all it did was, it's like, were you looking for attention? Because that's all you're going to get. Because now you're being booed. You're not going to get your question answered. When we could have gotten that information had she gone about it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, Whitney says there's a way to be respectful and ask the harder questions. Exactly.
Oh, sure.
That's what it comes down to. You know, so people want to get up there and try and have their 5 minutes.
Yeah, and when you open it up to the public, you open up the doorway of someone being very inappropriate.
I'm waiting for this somebody to get up there talking about tapping the mic. Hello? Hello? Look, I'm sorry. I don't know if this is the right place to ask this. When we booked the conference, it said that the rooms had Keurig machines in them and they just have the regular coffee pots. Is that just the Delta Wing? Is that just the Delta Wing? Y'all, not joking. If y'all want some pure entertainment, okay, you immediately go onto Facebook and sign up for the CrimeCon 2024. Any of them, and just read the complaints, okay, y'all. It is my petty thing to do. Literally, in the morning at the hotel room, I'm like, okay, well, let's just go see what happened over. It's so good, y'all. The things that, and I get it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I told Derek, I said, I'm sorry, we're kind of changing notes here for 1 second. I said, I think what they did for the conference is they went into the room and changed out some of the stuff, you know what I mean? Because like people are talking about the Keurig machine. Well, they had your typical crappy little coffee maker. There was no microwave in the room. And so I did think that was kind of weird. Y'all, we're staying at a very inexpensive hotel in Asheville, and there's like more stuff in this room than they had at the conference. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to like leave the conference over it.
Oh, someone did.
Someone did. Somebody like, I'm checking out. It's too trashy. Oh my God. I just love people. It's just, it's so amazing, right? Okay, hold on. So Snow White says, did anyone ask Summer why did she text Lori that she would kill Charles herself, or whether she was suspicious of Charles's death? No one specifically point blank brought something like that up, but I felt like that one person who mentioned the text message thing was in like, you know what I'm saying? Like pointing to that. However, I do feel like if somebody had gotten up, like somebody, if you had gotten up there and been like completely normal and asked that, and be like, Summer, I just have a question. I want to clarify it. What about the text message? These things came out. Do you have anything to say to that? I think she would have legit been open to saying, here's what this was. You know what I'm saying? What now, whether we want to hear the answer or not, but I truly legit think that she would have, right? That's why that person who got all tore up with her, it was like, girl, you probably could have gotten like a good answer to that question if you had just asked her in a respectful way, but it was like she got all up in it. And this is somebody who's going out there and telling people how to live their life. That's the whole thing with these Jodys and people like that, Jody Hildebrand, people like that. No, absolutely not. Pardon me. Okay, Nefertiti says, "Oh, Paul, wait till you see the comments and complaints at anime conventions. People are still being told to shower." I want to know. I will go 100% join a Facebook group just to read the comments. That is my new version of television. I'm not like, no, I mean, obviously I watch the true crime docs and stuff, but instead of like being like, oh, what's on TV tonight? I'm like, have you read the comment section on this? Like something that I'm not even involved in, but I'm like, I've gone down a rabbit hole. Apparently people who are into this or whatever are really upset over this part of it, and they're all melting down on TikTok. It's the little things in life these days. It's the little things. And Mary Rose brings up a good point. A true crime maven should know that you don't get good answers by being antagonistic. Exactly. 100%. So let me finish going through this. I just got one more thing. Has Lori or Chad ever said what they did? Obviously, no, they have not. And then there's another question I asked. I didn't put the question down, but she said she has no desire to talk to Chad. She's like, listen to him. He's a mumbler. He can barely speak. And this is when she said the first thing that he said when he called her was, I can't say anything about the children. And that's the last of the notes that I had. So, pardon me. My whole take on the Summer thing was I feel like people can be many different things at one time. I definitely think that there's a lot going on with her that she's probably looking back and saying, oh. And what I mean by that, there's so many layers to that because she has probably a whole lifetime of different levels of stuff to go through, meaning like her baseline, like whatever it was that she grew up with in her family. And at the Sophos meetup, I was talking to a couple of you, and I can't remember who said it. So this is not my original thought, but basically like what Summer was describing is like what this was normal might have been her normal, but like to a lot of other people it wasn't. Like, how like whatever's normal in your family to you is normal until you realize like, oh, that wasn't normal. You know what I mean? Like normal. I hate saying normal, but you know what I mean. So for example, like one of the things that was brought up when we were talking about the Sofa Squad or the Sofa meetup was the whole dynamic was there a weird vibe between Alex and Lori? And no. Well, remember Alex's ex-girlfriend was talking about, yeah, I'd go over there and Lori'd be like jumping on him and straddling him and doing this weird stuff, and that kind of thing. Like to us listening to it, we're like, yeah, that's creepy. And again, Summer was not point blank asked about that specifically, but it's those little things like that were like, well, that could have been normal to her. I'd be like, no, Lori's just jumping on her brother and like roughhousing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, but girl, she's like, kind of being Lori about it. Like, that's not right or whatever. So that's the kind of stuff right there. And I do think there's a lot of that. So do I think that Summer's changed in many ways? Yes. I think she probably has a different perspective on a lot of things. And it's like, oh, okay. Whoa, I can't believe I did this. Oh my God, my sister did that. I think it will probably take a lifetime. Do I think that this is a little bit of a PR campaign, a little bit of save face? I mean, you saw the interview her and her mom did, right? I mean, come on, right? You're going to have to come out and say something for the family after that. I mean, it's, it was bad. I think it's a bunch of those things at one time. I think she truly did love those children. I think she truly would have taken them in. I think she truly felt all those things.
She made that very clear.
Yeah.
Even emotional. I got an emotional vibe from her. She said to Lori on the phone when she was in jail, she was like, why? I would have taken these kids. Any of us would have taken the kids. And I believe her. I felt it was very genuine on her part whether people want to say she was, just doing it for the grab or whatever. I don't. I seem to really buy into a lot that she said.
Yeah,
I did personally.
yeah. So I think several things going on at one. I think there's several things going on at one time with it, and I think that honestly, I think a lot of people walked away already feeling a certain way, like their perspective changed on her. And again, almost like this vibe right here, like so the hard hitting questions that were being asked are still out there. Like, well, yeah, what about this? But it's almost like give her a little bit more time. We're probably going to hear more from her, I would imagine, maybe. And within time, I think she's going to have more realizations about stuff and being able to look back and talk about it from more of a the same way that she was like this, like I shouldn't have gone and done that interview. That was a really dumb idea.
Life lesson learned.
Yeah, life lesson. Like that was so stupid. Like I did not listen to everybody. That I think we're going to see more of that about the story, so we could get more stuff answered. But again, for these people coming, like that one woman who did, that caused the scene, it's like, well, we're not going to get the answers that way. I mean, who would, right? It's just crazy. Okay, Lemon Bait asked, did people feel depressed after the convention? I mean, it's heavy stuff. Okay, so go ahead.
No, I don't think so.
My water. Do you need anything?
No, I'm fine. I don't. No, I do not think it's depressing at all. I think it's very informative, and some of the stuff that you do hear from these victims is heart wrenching, yes, but overall, no, it's not depressing by any means. And I highly recommend more people, that want to go, that are on the fence maybe about wanting to go. The sessions themselves are very interesting, and not all of them are dark as say this one was. Some of them, some of the other ones that I've seen in previous years is like a former FBI agent getting up there talking about how they got into the career. And then we saw, wasn't one of them a forensic investigator, almost to the level of a mortician, but more just on the detective side of investigating and forensics, talking about how they go about that in some of their cases. So yeah, some of them are extremely interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. There's a lot of them that were, and yeah, I mean, if you can make it to a CrimeCon, absolutely. Everyone's very, very nice, and one thing too is you're gonna meet, I mean, so many people. We're like today we met Gabby Petito's dad, basically on our way out the door.
Super nice person,
so nice, very outgoing. So nice. We had stopped by their booth. I don't have them on now, but I had the little Gabby Petito thing, the bracelet thing from the foundation. Pardon me. And
then too, from Paul's standpoint, or for me looking at the situation and Paul's site, reporting live from my sofa, these people come up to us, and this one girl, she's like, I've been with Paul when he had less than 100. Was that the right number, or less than 1,000?
1,000, yeah.
Yeah, she comes up to us and she says, I've been with you since then. And
she's from Alabama. I can't remember her.
Right. And
yeah,
it's very heartwarming to us, and to Paul, of course. But
hey, sugar,
I'm behind the scenes, so don't take it that I'm trying to take any part of this. But yeah, it makes you feel good, and it makes me feel good for Paul and everything that he's doing.
I appreciate it, and I wanted to, I put Brenda's thing up here for people that are just joining. So Brenda says, has Lori's family tried to convince her that Chad threw her under the bus? So this is what, what's her name? Summer said about that. Summer said that, Lori knows that, but doesn't believe it. And nor would she ever believe it. Like, she is diehard, brainwashed Chad Daybell. That's my man. That's him right there. Brainwash could be the only thing. I mean, look at the man.
Right.
Brainwashing could be the only thing that would make you into a man like that, like to that level. You know what I'm saying? To be superficial about it.
And one more perspective answering that question, too, I would say my impression from Summer was that she really hasn't had a whole lot of contact with Lori. Yeah. And one other key thing to keep in mind, too, she also went into the realm of, with Lori's diagnosis, that apparently she's in more of a mental facility of being a prisoner. I don't know if she's out from that yet, but she did say Summer's words were that Lori prefers to be in regular prison versus the medical version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I asked Paul, I was like, well, is she still in the medical or is she back in normal prison? I don't know. I don't think either.
I think she's. Is she? So is she in prison now, or is she in county jail in Arizona, or is she in a mental place? I can't remember. And Whitney, thank you for hanging out. And we had so much fun meeting everybody that we could meet from the Sofa Squad that came to the little meetup and whatnot. Now, side note, I think this is what we're gonna do in Denver. I'll say now that we have more people in the room and whatnot. What was that saying? I read something and forgot. Oh, so next year we're gonna do the meetup. But we'll do like the official meetup, say Friday evening. And then like every morning we'll be like, hey, at 8 o'clock, we met in the lobby for the meetup. But hey, 8 o'clock in the lobby, we're going to be having coffee for an hour. So if you want to come down before everything starts up, hang out, do that kind of thing. So there's multiple options. Now we would also meet people like wherever we were walking. Like somebody like, oh, hey, whatever.
Right.
And obviously that's cool too. But I want to make more time to be able to actually sit and talk with Sofa Squad like we did, and not just one condensed, because one thing that happens at CrimeCon is all the creators do their meet and greets and it ends up overlapping. It's like you had to pick and choose who wants to do this, who wants to do that, or do I want to go to this party or whatever. Like Emily Baker was there, and at one point the restaurant she was at, it's hard to explain, but it was like we walked past it to go anywhere basically. And so we were going to go eat, and I was like, God, the line to get in is so long. But then I was like, oh no, wait, that's the line. Emily Baker was there doing her meet and greet. I mean, of course you already know she had like a long ass line to go see her. Right. But that's what ends up happening. And one person, Audra, brought up this point that this is how she was like laying out or whatever. You can go see the speakers that are there, like they'll put them all up on video. If you go join CrimeCon HQ,
right,
you can go see it. It's not that much money, and so if you want to do it, pardon me, if you want to do it to go watch like 100% go do it. Just watch Summer Shiftlets, okay? Like the whole thing.
Someone made a point too. Sign or go to Crime HQ. Is that it? Whatever the website is, go to it. Sign up for it for a month or whatever. Watch the stuff you want to watch from CrimeCon 2024, and then cancel your membership.
Exactly.
If you want.
Yeah. I mean, to put it quite simply.
And then, and two, that way you'll know whether you would want to go to CrimeCon or not. Because you get a taste of what those sessions are like.
And then two, what you can do is you go and you can basically meet all your people. So Carol, we did see Vinny. I wanted to get my picture with him, but I did not. He's so adorable. Him, Brian Enton, and Jesse Weber, Angeli Levy. I'm saying her name wrong. I did get my picture, and it's in the car with Ashley Banfield. I was standing at the News Nation booth when I started seeing Ashley hanging around and like stuff happening. And I was like, I think maybe I was like, is she leaving? What's she doing? Is she going to do a show? And so I stopped one of the people there and I was like, is this like Ashley's meet and greet? And they're like, yeah, we're just getting ready to start. Did you want to do your picture? And I mean, y'all, I got to be like the second person in line. It worked out so perfect. She is so sweet, y'all. Her and Brian did a session on, and I cannot remember the names of the victims right now, but it was the mother and the God's Misfits case.
Right.
Out in Kansas
Oklahoma.
It
was in the Panhandle.
They did a thing on that, and it was her and Brian.
It was
they fascinating. Are good. They are good. And that's the other thing too, is you get to see so a lot of us aren't able to go to trial and see this kind of stuff and get the context of being in person or hearing that. You get this information being there, being in the room with Summer and like being fairly close and being able to see and get that like kind of thing as opposed to TV. It's totally different. It literally gives me a different perspective on maybe trying to make it to an actual trial and whatnot. and whatnot. So the next CrimeCon in 2025 is in Denver, September 5th through the 7th. And that's really, and it's going to be at the Gaylord Rockies Resort. As far as the resort goes,
I don't know anything about it yet.
well, we thought, well, I was going to talk about the one we just did.
Oh, okay.
So this is our vibe. And a lot of people were saying this where they felt like the vibe was different this year. And when I talked to some people about like, oh, this is their first time, I said, you know what? I said, it was a little bit disorganized, more so than before. Pardon me. Go ahead.
It was due to the venue, though.
The venue made it seem very impersonal to me. It made it like,
and to give you guys who wasn't there a perspective on when we say it was the venue, and you're like, well, how can the venue? This place is huge, and when we were checking in, the guy that took our luggage, the bellhop, I call it a bellhop, the guy that took our luggage to the room, he was being nice and telling us about the resort and everything, and he was saying it's I don't know if it's the largest in the U.S., but he said it's the largest hotel without a casino.
mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, so I don't know how big the place is. We never traveled the whole thing.
Oh, I didn't have
it was a trek just to get to the room.
Mimi says, hey, Mimi says, you better tell Facebook about it. Oh, I'm going to go on. I'm going to start that. I've got some things to say.
Now, granted, though, there was no complaints with the place. I liked it. It was very clean and very beautiful and worth seeing. And it's very nice. But for the convention, it was huge. And everybody was spread out and had to walk a long way to get anywhere.
And Emily says programs don't match signage. Yes. It was like the way they do it, they would be like, breakout room 1 is this. But then it would be like ballroom, whatever. It was like different names for stuff. So you're like, well, where is this exactly? And how do I get to this? And then before, it was almost like CrimeCon always felt like in the hotel, like you go and there's like an obvious, here's the entrance to CrimeCon. This is this, but here's the other thing too. There were so many entrances and exits to different parts of it. Anyone could come up on the floor and walk through and do this. So you had this feeling of it being just like massive, and everybody was spread out all over the hotel.
When I say people literally used maps inside the building and the complex to find your way around. That's how big it was. It's crazy.
Hey, Lori. And Lori says, my friend said it was like Rainforest Cafe. I mean,
yeah, it was. Yeah.
100%. Amanda put up pictures, her and Isabella at the actual Rainforest Cafe.
Okay.
Susan's from Wilson, North Carolina. Hey.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw so literally all weekend, I saw JonBenét's dad. It didn't matter where I went. I was like, is this man stalking me? I was like, what? How are we in the same vicinity? I mean, we never talked to each other or anything, but it was just funny to where I was like, why is everywhere I go, I see this man somewhere? And then someone from the behavior panel, I was like, always seen him, but never got to talk to him. I saw Scott Reich and didn't get to talk to him because I wanted to go up and be like, Scott. I got to pass by Annie Elise and I did tap her on the shoulder and she turned around and said, I love your channel. And that was my interaction with her. She always had somebody at the booth. Derek and Stephanie always had somebody at the booth. I didn't even get to like wave to Stephanie this time. We always make it a point because they're so nice.
Mm-hmm.
But their booth obviously is very popular. I mean, they just if you go, you need to meet them. If you like them, if you don't, I'm not trying to put you out there.
And I would say too, as far as like meeting other people, some of you guys might have used to follow Live PD, the TV reality show. Mm-hmm. And I was standing kind of like by myself off to one side, and I turn around and I look, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's Sean Sticks Larkin. And he was just standing there, and he was talking to one other person. And I approached him. I was like, can I get your picture? So I got my picture with him. And so there's all kinds of people there, kind of like a little highlight for me.
Mm-hmm. It really was. I did see John Lorden, but I didn't get to meet him. I saw him at his table. So when I did the creator row, when we went in, actually the first like little stoppage of when I first met Emily, I think they were at John's table. And so when I first met with Emily and Audra and a couple other people, so then we had like this miniature meet and greet and like talking or whatever. So I didn't get to meet him. I want to meet him though because I like his stuff and he seems really nice. I talked to Gigi. I'm very excited to talk. Gigi and I don't live that far from each other, and I was so excited to finally be able to meet her and talk to her. We talked for a few minutes, and we're gonna try and do something together. She's so amazing. She's so awesome, and so I really want to do some stuff with her. And I'm gonna try and so about this. So Melaine asked, "Do I think I'll have my own table?" So I don't know. So here's the thing: I've applied for it twice and didn't get it, but then, and y'all might already like know me enough to like recognize this. Like Derek and I talk about it. I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to sit behind a table like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's possible. I mean, you see me fall asleep reading the damn books, right? Y'all be coming to the table. I'd be like slumped over in the damn thing, sleep.
Well, even Stephanie.
My body is rejecting the CrimeCon.
Even Stephanie and Derek are not at their booth the whole time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I probably will apply for it, but I'm not like going to be hurt if I don't get it again because it's like I now see a different way. That's why I want to do the hey, every morning let's do coffee kind of thing and then do a meet and greet because really that's like the best. To me, the funnest thing going is meeting all the Silver Squad people.
Right.
So we'll see. But yeah, so if I don't get it, it's totally cool or whatever. Yeah, I can have a reading session, put everybody to sleep. Yes, that's the thing. Wendy says I think you're more smart. Hey, Smog Hobbit, how's it going? Yeah, maybe next year. Yeah, but they denied me this year. They're like, nope, we don't want you up here. They didn't say that. But I didn't apply too hard to be in it either. I was just like,
Paul didn't push the envelope, nor did they respond when they quickly like they should have. I mean, you didn't press the issue.
Yeah, I didn't press it very hard at all because I was like, so yeah. But did you meet Vinny? I did not get to meet Vinny. I saw him several times. He's so adorable. Please just not read Loin Fire. No, right. They kicked me out. But the hotel was, I mean, it was nice. They had a nice gym. They had nice restaurants, nice bars, but it was just a weird vibe.
And the gondola ride.
Oh my God. Y'all want to talk about pure damn tourist trap cringe?
Well, tell them why you took it.
Okay, so my cousin, so technically my cousins, but my cousin and her daughter, who would be my second cousin.
She's 9
years old. We were going to be, they happened to be, they live in Texas. They happened to be in Tennessee. So it's like, we have to meet up. You know what I'm saying? So she came to Nashville and basically the way it worked out is that we were texting back and forth and all this type of stuff. And it was like, okay, y'all just come to our hotel. I'm thinking there's stuff here to do. And we were going to go to the aquarium, this like underwater restaurant, because
that was nearby.
My cousin's daughter, Isabella, I'll just call her my cousin. She's my second cousin. She's 9 years old. This will be cool. It looked cool to me. So they come over and I'm like, oh, there's a gondola ride in the hotel. Now you already know that we know it's going to be a little bit cheesy or whatever, right? Y'all. So we get on, I don't know what I expected out of it. Like, because it's just like a little boat ride that goes in this murky, gross, pondy water and takes you around and like, see that tree? That tree's 100 years old. And you're like, ooh, good night, Nefertiti. I appreciate it. So, and Isabella was not that impressed. She just is kind of, cool. Yeah. I mean, it was neat, but they charged an arm and a leg for it. But yeah, so it was kind of cheesy. But then we went to the aquarium restaurant. We got to walk past the Grand Ole Opry, so that was cool. And that was fun. And Isabella loved that. She really enjoyed that. So that was totally worth it. So yeah. And then where else? Oh, yeah, good night. His natural territory, right? Yeah, I said doors, Phil Nash, everyone having a good time. Yeah. I like the aquarium restaurant. It was cool.
It was
cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, Agent, and hey, how are you doing, Agent? I totally get that vibe that you're talking about, and it wasn't like that. So yeah, so this is my guest here is Derek. This is my friend Derek, my best friend Derek. We've known each other for 20 plus years at this point.
We're like brothers.
We're like, this is like my brother from another mother.
Right.
CrimeCon cruise, Miami, November. Has anybody here done the Crime I can't say it, the CrimeCon cruise. Has anyone done that? I've never even been on a cruise. So I am nervous to go because I'm like, what if, but it is a short one. And I just don't know how it would be. I feel like it would be different.
I think it would be totally different from a crime con. So
I think so too. I don't know. I would try it one year. We were supposed to go to the one in London.
right.
Was it last year or this year?
This year's September. It's yet to happen.
So then they're pushing it off till next year for us.
yes. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's
So-
September this year. CrimeCon UK is in September this year.
And so they're saying, hey, we'll push your tickets
Yes.
to 26 or
2025.
2025. Okay. So we were supposed to go there, but too much stuff came up. It's like, it's not going to happen. But they were like, hey, we'll delay your tickets for you.
Mhm.
And so that's supposed to be next year, but we'll play that by ear.
Yeah, I don't know the dates of the 25 UK.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and Melaine brings up some good points of, I don't know if the cruise would have as good speakers. Yeah, I just don't. I think it would be, I don't know. It would be a con to the cost. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I hear bad things too. And here's my thing. It would be fun for the Caribbean cruise. $279 ticket, share room $575. I live in Nashville. Change beyond our organization. Yeah. And let me tell you what, I told Derek, I said, look, the second that we enter Tennessee from the border to damn Nashville, I was like, it was like city driving. The interstates and stuff, because like you get around Asheville and it gets busy, but not busy. But I mean, like Tennessee, even on the interstates, it was hard driving. Now it's a beautiful state. I mean, the scenery along the roads. The last bit of the trip, we kind of went back neighborhoods or whatever you call it. Absolutely beautiful.
Off the beaten path. We took about a 20-mile off the interstate ride to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, agent says, you know what made that cruise even more interesting? Someone going overboard. You could literally have, weren't we talking about like, oh, we can make a new some kind of like show or whatever. You could literally, it could be dinner theater, agent. You could literally like have, that would be what would make it fun. Like not
Right.
really smack going overboard, but like you could have like a whole dinner theater thing set up or whatever. And it would be so cool. So yeah. Yeah, murder mystery cruise, right? I mean, everybody would be
Right.
on it, and they might do that. I don't know. They have something like that set up at the CrimeCon, like, can you solve this? But yeah, I don't know. So, anyways, but we have to get going because we have to get up early in the morning and finish our journeys back up. Okay. So that's it. Y'all, I've been dying to come here and talk to y'all. You do not even know. This is so much fun. We'll be doing another live chat. So I'm going to record a more, not scripted, but an edited version of the video of my take on Summer's speech for the main channel is what I'm trying to say. And then I'm going to do my little thoughts on the Chad Daybell sentencing that. And I'm going to still try and go over the defense's closing because it was so amazing. So that's going to kind of be the vibe for next week. And then we'll be moving on to other stuff and whatnot. Thank you, Emily, for hanging out. I hope you're still having a good time over there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to everybody who came to the meet and greet or came up and introduced yourselves to us. It was literally the highlight of my week, of my life. It was amazing to meet all of y'all and hear your stories.
Very heartwarming.
Honestly, Cringe Crew 2025. That is the next thing right there. The Cringe Crew. We got a new damn coffee cup coming. The Cringe Crew. I love it.
Bye-bye.
So y'all take care. I love you. Thank you very much. Good night. Emily, have fun tonight at CrimeCon and have a safe trip home tomorrow. Let me know you get there okay. Thank you, everybody. We love you. And we will talk to you soon.